Howdy, folks. Oliver here from the Earful Tower. Sitting across from me, my wife, Lina Norden-G.
G'day.
G'day, mate. How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
We're donning our helpful hats today because there's a question I get asked kind of often, which is Paris worth visiting in the winter?
Exactly.
And I figured who better than to answer it than people whose combined winter total in Paris is 22.
I thought you were going to say an icy cold Swede.
An icy cold Swede.
Yeah.
That's you.
That's me.
But you've only got 11 winters. I figured we needed something.
That's a bit measly.
Measly. So 22. In other words, we're coming into... This is our 20.
Are we experts?
Yeah. Anything
Somewhat.
over 20.
Sure.
And I think the short answer to is Paris worth it in the winter is...
Yes, of course.
Episode over. No, but we figured we'd talk a little bit about it. This episode, and indeed the whole season, is brought to you by My Private Paris. They will help you plan your itinerary. They will take you on private tours inside of Paris and beyond. And at the end of this episode, you'll hear Marie Segura, who is the co-founder of the company, talking about... shall I spoil it? Yeah, talking about somewhere magical you could go in winter to hear music and what might be down beneath this beautiful building.
Ooh, exciting.
So you hear from them at the end, but first it's going to be me and Lina talking about winter. And as you said, Lina, it's totally worth coming here to Paris for the winter. And one of the main draw cards could be the price.
Yeah, I mean, not only are the airfares cheaper, unless you go at Christmas and New Year's, because then you might have to be out in a very good time. But yeah, usually that's way cheaper. It's off season, but also, just other things around.
It's not just that; it goes for accommodation as well.
Yeah.
Low season,
less competition,
and it's not so busy. Off season, so not so busy. You're saving money, and I think. What's cool about that is you can spend that money elsewhere because it still remains an expensive city and you're not going to be able to just be flaneuring around the whole time when it's cold. So what we've done is put together a few of these things that you can do in certain segments, essentially. And the first that I've got here is something we like to do once a year. You can take this as a tip if you like, or you want to splash out, is going to a luxury hotel.
Yes, go for a fancy pants cocktail.
Yeah, and if you thought that we were going to say stay in a fancy hotel...
Oh, well, I mean, that would be lovely, but,
If you thought we were going to say that, we're not on the same budget as you, dear listener, but one splash-out cocktail a year is kind of, especially now that we have to get babysitters and stuff in, it becomes all the more precious. And I think it started with the winter that I proposed to you.
I did.
And we walked to...
all those years ago.
Feels like it,
yes.
Huh? And then it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we walked to the Ritz, the Bar Hemingway.
In the cold. And it was so cozy, and it was those Christmas trees all lit up on Place Vendôme, and it was just magical.
Magical. And since then we've sort of tried to rekindle the love. We sort of tried to recapture that special occasion, and we've been to a whole bunch of different hotel cocktail bars for Christmas. And this year we went to one that we hadn't been to together before.
The Shangri-La.
The Shangri-La in the 16th arrondissement.
Yeah.
So full disclosure, the Shangri-La gets in touch with me and they say, hey, do you want to come for dinner? We want to invite you to dinner. We got a new chef. Tony Shu is his name, and it's the only Chinese-French Michelin-star restaurant in Paris, but maybe in France, I think. So they invited us, and we'll talk about that in a sec, but on top of that, we made an effort. We went out of our way to have a cocktail there first.
Yep, we did. And it was really, really nice, very cozy.
I didn't get the bartender's name,
No.
but he nailed it.
But we know where he's from. Was it Grenoble?
Was it? Wow,
was
I can't
great.
remember that. He goes, what would you like? And I say, I want a martini. And he goes, great, how do you usually have your martini? I say, I don't. I never have them. I just feel a bit like James Bond tonight. And then instead of, some bartenders, when I've said something like that, they're like, forget it.
Yeah, they're just like, no.
He walked me through it and he made something delicious and pricey.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Same with yours.
Certainly.
But that's the whole point. You splash out. As for the dinner, so we went there as an invitation. You're going to see, if you go on my YouTube channel, an interview with the chef. He took me into his Michelin kitchen. Tony Xu taught me a bit of Mandarin. And we also were in the same restaurant that we ate at. So I'll give you a little taste of him talking about this specialty, which is a foie gras.
Sweet and sour foie gras.
Yeah, let's hear it from the mouth of Tony Xu. I know that one of the signature things that you guys are doing is foie gras with a twist.
Yeah, that's the.
Tell me the twist.
That's the risk for me to do the foie gras dish in France, right?
Yeah.
In Paris. But after we try the thank you, a few times and then give it to our local colleague
Yeah.
to try and the customer to try. Then we find out actually the people like it, and then we're on the menu now. Foie gras is locally produced,
Yeah.
very good quality.
Yeah.
Then I match with the flavor, very traditional, authentic Chinese flavor, sweet and sour.
So you took foie gras, so it's a sweet and sour foie gras.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
a Chinese twist on a beloved French.
Yes, exactly.
Ah.
That's concept.
Lovely guy, and there's something cool about going to dinner and having the chef come out and say hello.
I know, it felt very godfathery.
What did you think of the dinner?
I thought it was, well, first of all, is delicious, obviously. And I thought it was a really nice mix of, you know, you could tell that he really cared for the heritage and the tradition of the Chinese cuisine, but certainly he was aware of where he was at the moment, which was in Paris, France. So he, you know, experimented with the French dishes. And
He's still pretty new to Paris, and I'm curious to see. I made a kind of stupid suggestion in the video of like, could you do a sweet and sour croissant? And he was like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair to you, it's not a far step away from the foie gras.
I'll be curious to see where he takes it. But yeah, Shangri-La, the Shang Palace is the name of it. And kind of not just go for a cocktail at a place like that. If the budget stretches to it, go for a dinner. Or if the budget really stretches, stay a night. The hotels, all of the big hotels in Paris, the Palace hotels, do such a cozy winter.
I mean, they really add a little glimmer to your day. What I did a while back is that I went for an afternoon tea with my mom, my lovely mama, at the Ritz, and that was very special.
I've always wanted. Is this the salon? What's it called? Proust.
Yeah, exactly. And you get so pampered, and all the people, all the staff, they're so lovely, and you just feel like a princess.
Well, there you go. Add that to the list as well. I think that ties neatly into, I mean, if you're in Paris in the winter, you want to often be indoors. And luckily, indoors in Paris is almost endless treats of things to do. But I've written here, it's a good chance to go into some of the museums. Stay out of the cold, explore the museums. And I think fairly recently I did an episode about all the best museums in every arrondissement. Use that as your guideline. You want to be inside and you want to be checking out those museums. And if I had to give one shout out to one museum that I particularly like, full stop, end of story, Petit Palais.
Yes, agreed.
The Petit Palais, I've said this, I don't think I've said it enough, because I adore the Petit Palais. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just off the Champs-Élysées, it is a little palace. That's what it's
It's
called.
got a huge golden porch. Porch?
Yeah,
Gate.
sure, why not?
Door, yeah.
Which leads down towards the Invalides and the Pont Alexandre
So
III.
it's like it keeps on getting more golden.
I've got, I remember when, I don't know if I ever told the story once, of when we moved from Montmartre to the 7th. And I took the scooter ride from Montmartre to the 7th arrondissement, especially where we lived, was by the minute getting fancier.
Yeah.
And it culminated in this amazing moment of passing the Petit Palais with its gilded port, crossing the Pont Alexandre III, which is the most beautiful bridge in Paris, up towards the golden dome of the Invalides. And as I stopped at a red light there with all these beautiful boats moored just off to my right, and I'm on the little red scooter, this red Ferrari came up next to me. I was like, what world am I entering? And then, the light went green and everyone rushed off towards the 7th arrondissement. I was like, wow, I do not belong here. But the Petit Palais, so always free entry for the main bit, and the main bit is
I feel like that's very solidary. Solidary?
What do you mean?
Solidarist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. One for the people, people for the all.
Yeah. Huh? It's and it's one of those museums where the interior itself, forget whatever's, I mean, the stuff that's there is great too, but the museum itself is really wonderful.
Oh, it's world class for sure.
And I think hugely overlooked by people.
Definitely. People don't really know about it. Even my own family, when I'm like, oh, it's this place. They're like, oh, I think I've heard of it. I'm like, yes, you certainly have. You've been there.
There's a good litmus test is where we take our families after 10 years in Paris.
Yeah, this is the place.
That's where I take mine as well. But just totally lovely. And there's the outdoor cafe. They serve nothing special, but it's the prettiest cafe.
It's just a nice surprise to go into a museum and then you go through the garden and then it's like a cafe. It just feels magical.
Not to mention some of the art in there is insane as well. Insane. That big painting of Leal, every time I'm there, the market, I love that.
It's fantastic.
And then they have exhibitions as well. We went to one recently, the Swedish painter, what's his name?
Bruno Liljefors.
Bruno Liljefors.
Yeah.
And they always got their finger on the pulse of cool exhibitions. But another reason why I chose this particular museum is because when we're talking winter in Paris, you need only cross the road to get to my white whale.
Which is?
The Grand Palais. The Grand Palais. Which has been... Mission Impossible fans will remember it from where Tom Cruise jumped out of the plane. Jumped out of a plane without... I don't know if he had a parachute or someone's parachute didn't work, and bang, he landed on the top of the elegant glass and iron framework
Hollywood magic
ceiling rooftop, really
perfection.
And it's been closed. It's been my white whale because it's been closed for renovation since 2021. I think before 2021, I guess I don't know, was it COVID then? I don't know. Whatever it was, it was eluding me.
Yeah.
And then finally they reopened it for the Olympics. Couldn't get tickets.
No, because everyone had the same idea.
Everyone wanted to, for the first time ever, everyone wanted to see Taekwondo and fencing or whatever it was.
Yes.
Largely, I think, was to get into the building
setting.
as well. And then the Paralympics.
Talk about iconic. I mean, really.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't even confess this, but a big TV channel in America got in contact with me during the Olympics, and they said, we want to film inside the Grand Palais. Are you an expert on it? And I said, yep.
Of course I am.
And they said, okay, we'll do it. And I said, cool. And I figured I could learn about it. And then they messaged, we just want to hear a little bit about like some of the past exhibitions that you've been to and some of the future ones you look at. I was like, I might not be your guy.
I'm out of my depth.
But anyhow, finally, even the Paralympics couldn't get tickets to it, and I tried very hard.
Yeah, you did.
But look, every year now, they've done this in the past, they have ice skating in there. They claim it's the biggest indoor ice rink in the world. I saw someone had written Europe, then I looked on the website, they say in the whole world.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, well, it is big.
Let's paint a picture for people at home why it's so, especially you as an ice skating Swede born on skates.
Okay, well, that is a vast over-exaggeration. But yes, sure, let's paint the picture.
First, I'll tell you a tip. There was a blockbuster queue.
Oh my God, we have the best tip.
I think at least 500 deep, maybe more.
Blockbuster,
Yeah.
literally curling around the edges of
busting the blocks
of the fancy Grand Palais.
Exactly, and it was such a big queue, and we were there with our 3-year-old and our 7-month-old in a pram that we were contemplating leaving for an hour to come back, hoping that the time slot no one would come in at the end.
Yeah, it would be like a magical middle moment.
But we didn't need to because someone came up to us and said, "You got a pram? Go to the front of the queue."
It was on the second. We were gonna just give up.
He didn't even check if there was a baby in there.
No, he was like, "Come with me."
Could have just been my ice skating boots.
And we waltzed all the way.
But when you get in, so imagine we never had even been in there before, and you walk in, and you're struck not just by this beautiful light from the glass ceiling, but it's reflected off the ice.
Yeah, it's very bright. Everything is bright. And in the middle, they mounted a huge disco ball, so it's just reflecting even more light. But yeah, so you come in, open the big, big doors, and it just seems like so open and so... Empty is the wrong word. Empty sounds negative. Empty in a good way, like spacious. And you just go straight in. You get your what's it called? Ice skates. You get your skates fitted. They're all blue, so I hope you like blue. And then there's like a little child pen and the bigger, ice rink where everyone goes.
I thought it was extraordinary. I really thought it was extraordinary. Can recommend, even if you can't skate. I can't really skate. I loved it, and I recommend it to everyone.
Yeah, gloves are obligatory, so bring your own gloves.
Otherwise
you have to buy some vending machine gloves
for €5.
Yes, so bring your own.
Yeah.
Hot tip.
Yeah, totally recommend it. Grand Palais, get your skates on, and it's. I mean, once again, it's like a museum for the interior as well.
Yeah,
even if you don't care for ice skating. Speaking of magical. One of your first trips to Paris was in the winter.
Yeah, when I was 15.
Tell me about it.
Well, I had this very romantic idea about Paris and France, and I hadn't fully grown out of my childhood, I guess. So I really wanted to go to Disneyland, and I've heard someone had told me that Disneyland, close to Christmas time, is just perfect. So we went, and I have just. Yeah, beautiful memories about it.
Is it just the Disney magic or the Christmas magic?
Yes, so
I still haven't been to Disney.
The two culminate in one perfect harmony.
Wow.
There you go.
Is this the same famous trip? What was it?
Not that I'm like a huge Disney fan at all, but it was, I don't know, maybe it was the whole thing. It was the whole thing, being able to be abroad. And
how old were you?
15.
Was this the debutante divorcee trip?
Yes, it was.
This is famous among some of the listeners. You know, she's written a new book as well.
Can't wait. You should interview her.
We should do. Yeah,
I should interview her.
You're welcome, sir. Disneyland magic. Fair enough. Speaking of magic in big places, last week were in Vaux-le-Vicomte Chateau. And in terms of, I've been there in the summer and the winter now. In Sweden, there's a word called mysighet. And unfortunately for the Swedes, the Danes really capitalized on it because they got their own
totally
word.
Hijacked that. Hygge.
And that just basically means cozy, right? But you got the same concept in Denmark and in Sweden. And somehow Denmark went viral for it. There's 100 books called like How to Do Hygge like the Danes. And everyone around the world I'm sure some people know what I'm talking about.
I'm sure.
But Sweden has the exact same concept, this coziness. And it's kind of rare to find it elsewhere sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
But Vaux-le-Vicomte in the winter has it.
Definitely.
Mysighet. This kind of coziness. They just nailed it. This... even forgetting the Christmas decorations, I don't know how long they'll have that for, but just the idea of being, they gave you marshmallows at the end that you roast on the fire.
Exactly. And
putting
how
a cape on.
Yes, they welcome you with the Red Riding Hood cape that everyone can wear if they want to.
So, going to somewhere, pick your favorite chateau. I'd pick Vaux-le-Vicomte. I've been texting with...
It feels friendly.
I've been texting with the owner since I've been there. He needed translation help.
That's the sort of service they offer.
I don't know if he needed translation help, but they're coming up with a new motto. And he's flying... I don't think it's time to say it. But they want it to be as good in English as it is in French.
Of course, that's important.
I had nothing to offer. But I still want to do a Christmas party there, so I'll try.
Yeah, do your best.
But if you do go there, Jean-Charles de Vogüé, he was on the podcast last week as well. But going out to a chateau, there's something really splendid. Sure, the gardens aren't as fancy as they are in the summer.
No.
But the interior of a chateau in winter, when you're rugged up
Yeah, I feel like you appreciate it so much more.
Let's finish back in central Paris, talking specifically about winter walks. Because I, even as an Australian, a cold-fearing Australian, and that's fair enough, I think, perpetually incorrectly dressed for the cold.
I think you're getting there now.
I should hope so,
Yeah.
I love winter walks outside in Paris. I love it. And I did when I lived in Sweden too.
Yeah.
Because I put in the time, I still do, to walk in the winter. I used to always walk through the snow in Sweden when everyone else would take public transport and cars. And then I'd get angry when spring came and everyone was out. And I was like, I was here.
You're like, I deserve it more.
Yeah, I deserve it more. And I feel like that in Paris too. When
That
it's
doesn't even make sense.
no, but it's like I did the hard time.
I see.
So let me appreciate it.
Yeah.
Alone
in
again.
peace.
Yeah. But it's the same in Paris. Like when I think of like a riverside walk, Ile Saint-Louis perhaps,
Yeah.
or the Marais, walking around when it's empty, when you can go through, or in the Marais, like I'm thinking going through the Hôtel de Sully into the Place de Vosges when it's empty, seeing Paris empty is
Yeah.
so special.
Yeah, it's somehow it's easier to kind of picture what it was like back in the day.
And on a nostalgic thing, it reminds me we moved to Paris in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, we did. January.
Yeah, so almost exactly 10 years ago. And imagine it to be a little bit soppy and sappy. Like we were two foreigners falling in love in Paris, exploring the city,
Just walking.
broke, so always like we couldn't even afford the free museums. And we were just walking around all the time, like on those bridges huddled up at night.
Yeah.
So like I think my mind goes back there a lot when I'm
Yeah,
walking
me
around in
too.
winter. So the idea of having the city to yourself, even middle of the day, middle of the night, just walking around in the cold, there's something very powerful about it, and I think I can recommend it to everyone. And I think if we compare it to Paris in the summer, I think a lot of people think they want to travel in the summer. Like if we just do the converse for a moment, or finish up on the converse, summer can be too hot.
Definitely. I mean, Paris is getting more and more prone to heat waves,
Sure.
which is just not. Paris is not equipped for it, really.
Well, all the zinc rooftops and
Yeah.
the ground that just sucks up the heat, and
Yeah,
no one has air
exactly.
conditioning.
No.
So I think Paris can really get too hot, but not really too cold.
I mean, it's easier to handle the cold. You can
Sure.
always put on an extra jumper.
But also when Paris goes quiet in August, everything closes. So a lot of people think, I'm going to get to Paris in the summer. They come here, all the things they got on their list are closed. Much less likely to happen for the winter. We're not being sponsored by the winter. I think we're just giving a fair insider's guide to
Well,
it.
we're just giving a little bit of PR to the winter.
Yeah, it doesn't get enough.
No.
Yeah.
Bad rep.
So there's one more thing that I haven't said
Yeah.
that you can do in the winter in Paris, and that's go to a show.
Good show.
And specifically, I mean, you got the cinema back home, wherever you come from, but what you might not have is an opera. So there's two main opera houses in Paris. We have been to both. The one in Bastille is more modern.
Yeah. Minimal.
Yeah, minimalistic. And, is that Swedish? Minimalistic?
Yeah.
And, we saw a very modern take on a very old...
On La Bohème.
yeah. But if you want to go old school, you would go to the Palais Garnier, which is the opera house.
For a bit more opulence.
Yeah, you can get in there for a walk around for like 10, 15 euros. You can go and see a show really cheap if you sit in the uncomfortable seats at the back. But the mystery lies underneath the Opera Garnier itself. And who better to explain it than Marie Segura from My Private Paris. So I'm going to pass the microphone away from you, my dear Lina.
Bye-bye.
And over to Marie as we discuss the Phantom of the Opera and everything that's going on down there. This show, as I said, sponsored by My Private Paris. Check them out. Drop my name if you happen to book anything. Otherwise, Lina, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you.
Shall we go for a winter walk after this?
Let's do it.
We're going to be talking about The Phantom of the Opera with the help of Marie Segura from My Private Paris. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm going to have to admit straight away, I haven't read the book.
Oh, it's okay.
Don't even know if I've seen the movie.
No, there is also third chance. There is also a musical
I
on
don't
stage.
think I've seen that either.
Okay. Do you know the story though?
I don't.
I will tell you the
No,
story.
a guy with a mask,
It's okay, it's
damsel
okay.
in distress, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the story is very simple. There's this beautiful character that is a singer at the Opéra Garnier, and a lot of things that are very weird are happening to her, and they kind of get that there is a stalker. There is someone that is, just. It just wants to see her and to have her. So this man is, he does wear a mask. I mean, if we don't see him, but he doesn't wear a mask because apparently some stone fall into his face at one point of the construction of the opera. And so that's why he doesn't want anyone to see him. But he's very rich and he's giving a lot of present to Christine. And so, he's trying to seduce her.
It's got kind of like a Hunchback of Notre Dame vibes.
Completely.
But this was surely written afterwards.
Oh, yeah. So Gaston Leroux, what he did, he took a little bit of the reality, like some things that really happened during the construction of the Opéra Garnier, such as a stone was actually falling and one of the performers, a lady, also had an accident on stage. So he just took those true information from the newspaper and just made an entire novel about it. And so in the fiction, they say that the phantom, so this character, is living underneath the opera, and it has all these rooms, that secret rooms. It's doing magic there, right. And there is a lake.
What's the deal with that lake? Is there a lake down there?
There is no lake, but there is there is a water pond that is there just in case the fire, because the Opéra Garnier was built just after a great fire in another opera. So this one was supposed to be fireproof,
right.
kind of. So they made this water pond just in case the fire will start.
So it's just a puddle.
It's actually quite big because I saw it. Because if you do the behind the scene tour, you can see and go downstairs. And that's pretty cool because you can see that some fishes are living there.
Okay.
So it's big enough for that.
But is it like when you go down, were you like, whoa, or were you just kind of like, oh, cool, there's some water?
It depends on your expectation.
Yeah.
If you think that as the Phantom of the Opera, you will see someone that is like on a Venetian, boat on the lake, that is not happening.
No.
But if you don't have that expectation, I think it's still wow. It's still like, oh, that's really cool.
Right. I mean, it's tough though to compete with what's upstairs because that building, the Opera of Paris, the Garnier, is unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
And it's very, I think, underrated because a lot of people, they think about Versailles and the Louvre and they never really think that the opera could be worth a visit. But to me, it's like a mini Versailles right in the middle of Paris.
Yep.
With, this hall of mirrors, but like, another size. And and every room is so different from another, but still very beautiful in different style. And I just love it for that.
It's almost painful how beautiful it is. Like you walk around being like,
That's because they're mixing a lot of styles.
Is that?
I think they have mosaics and gold and silver and gold again. So it's a little bit too much sometimes to handle. But I think it's a palace that was supposed to be visited during the night only.
Yeah,
and during the night, the lamps are making the whole, atmosphere different. So if you want really to experience the opera the fine way, it has to be in the dark, like at night and seeing a show. That's
What about if I was going to go and see a ballet performance there, do I dress up full on or do I just... How much do I go all in?
So, recently we have this new vibe of, especially with Instagram and so on, of people really fully dressing when they go there, especially because they want this Audrey Hepburn moment on the...
Don't we all?
On the stairs.
I want my Audrey Hepburn moment. So.
Exactly. So if you want that would be the perfect location to do it.
Yeah.
No one will judge you. Like you can really be the best, and like you're dressing for a wedding or something. If it's just for yourself, not taking any pictures and going there, no one will expect you to, to be in any kind of costume or dress. Okay. You can go with your sneakers and no one will tell you nothing.
Really? Okay.
But I will say, like, make yourself,
presentable.
Great, just for the pleasure to be, And also, if you see the Phantom of the Opera, because it's still there, the Loge number 5, it's a little section of the opera where you can see that this is the place for the Phantom of the Opera. They wrote it on a little plaque. So if you passed just in front of it and you're not dressed properly, you never know what's going to be happening to you.
Interesting. And I assume that we can find that if we book a tour with My Private Paris. They will take you into the opera behind the scenes, or indeed anywhere else in Paris or beyond. I've got a recommendation for you, Marie. Montmartre, Rue Lepic.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the author of Phantom of the Opera?
Gaston Leroux, bien sûr, Gaston Leroux.
There is I just wanted you to say it because it's hard to pronounce.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's like a bar restaurant, more of a bar. At least there was. I'm not sure if it's still open, but at the top of that hill, right sort of as it turns in towards the very end of the street, and it's like almost a museum of everything Phantom of the Opera. So I'm talking about the DVDs from Andrew Lloyd Webber to copies of the book to everything. And it's not, you definitely don't dress up for this place. The opposite. You dress down for this place. And I remember like when I went in there, the guy's like, he's like, what do you want to drink? And I was like, I don't know, what do you recommend? He's like, I don't know. So like he took it very casually.
Okay.
But I loved it. So next Eiffel Tower / My Private Paris drinks, I think should be up there.
Okay.
I'll see you there.
Sure.
Thank you for coming into the studio.
Thank you.
And thanks to everybody for listening. You've been listening to the Eiffel Tower podcast. My name's Oliver G. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Au revoir.